All right, so we're going to look at how to use the Vernier video analysis app. Before you use this app, however, you need to make sure that you have the video that you want to analyze downloaded. So for our Real Physics project, in the Unit 2 Real Physics resources folder, make sure you go to your trailers and then download whichever trailer that you're going to analyze. Once you have that downloaded, then we can open up the video analysis app. So when you open the app, it's going to ask you what you want to do. We're going to import video. Now, if you start this project and save it for later, then you'd want to choose File and choose your saved file instead. But to start, let's import video. It might take a little bit to load, it depends. So once you have your video here, you can find where exactly in the video clip you're going to be collecting data for. So you can use the slider here to move around in the video, but you can also use these step forward and step back so that you get the exact frame that you want to start. So I'm going to be tracking the jumping of this astronaut here. So I want to start right when his feet leave the ground. So right around here. Then you're going to need to set up your system. So click on System. We're going to need to set a scale. So if you know the dimensions of the object you're tracking, that's a good choice. This astronaut is wearing a pack. So the astronaut with the pack, I'm going to say, is about 1.7 meters. And you can use Google to search the dimensions of your object you're tracking. If you don't know your object, then pick something in the same plane. I don't want to find the height of this astronaut because they're in the background and I'm tracking this astronaut here. So choose an object in the same plane that you're going to be tracking the motion of. So then once you have that set, then we're going to set origin. It really doesn't matter where you set the origin. You can have it so that 0 is on the ground, or it could be at the highest point. It could be all the way over to the right. You choose. You can rotate it. These arrows are showing for rotating. You just grab the X and rotate it. So if your screen is tilted a little bit, you can do that. I'm going to have the origin just be right where the ground is. Okay, then you're ready to start tracking. So you're going to go to Add. Now, when you do this, if you have a touch screen, use 2 fingers to zoom in, but it'll be easier to track if you can see it better. I'm going to track this dark spot right here on the pack and choose a location on the point that you're tracking to always be consistent with, meaning always choose the center or always choose the top or the bottom or the left or the right if you're going sideways. For me, I'm going to try and always get the center of the circle or the dark spot. And when you click on a point, it'll automatically advance it to the next frame for you. So then you just keep tracking. And if you need to readjust the screen, you can do that. It'll notice if you're doing a 2-finger screen touch as opposed to using your mouse to click. It might get a little bit challenging to keep tracking because maybe the object starts slowing down like this where it kind of overlaps. So do the best that you can to see. And if you're not happy with your results, you can always clear data and start all over. Not that that's very fun. Okay, I'm going to make sure my astronaut's still in the air. Okay, his feet look like he's on the ground. If you do make a mistake on a single point, you can go to edit and you can move your points around if needed. But notice as I tracked it, it was making a beautiful graph over here. Also, I forgot to mention, but if you want to see your video better, you can go up to the windows and unselect the graph and data table. Then you can see the video more. And then to get back to your graph and table, you just select those on again. I want to unselect video just because I want to take a closer look at the graph here. Notice the legend here on the axis. The blue points are the Y in meters, meaning the vertical position, and then X is red meters, so the horizontal position. The astronaut's not moving left or right much, so this should stay around the same. If you want to change the scale on your axis, go to the graph here, and there's a whole bunch of things that you can do. So I could go to edit graph options, and I can change the range for the axes. So maybe I want to zoom in more. So maybe I want this to just be at, maybe only at like 1 meter. Now we can see that a little bit better. Okay, also what you're going to want to do is apply a curve fit, oftentimes. And you'll need to decide what type of relationship it is. We're mostly going to be doing either linear or power or quadratic. So the quadratic looks like a nice fit here for this motion. Then you need to hit apply. It'll pop up with a box here that is giving information. Notice the red data. We're not going to fit the red data. So one option is you can click on your legend here, unselect it. Now you're only seeing the vertical axis, so the vertical motion. You can't really move this box left or right, sadly, but you can move it up and down if needed. So when you take your screenshot of your graph, perhaps X out of this box, take a screenshot, or maybe zoom out so that you can see the box under. There, now I can move the box out of the way. But do make sure you get your axis labels in your graph. Okay, to find your velocity graph, click on this axis label here. And now we have X or Y velocity. I was looking at vertical motion, so I want the Y velocity. I'm going to unselect the X, or the Y position, and just look at velocity. And there it is. And again, apply curve fit. Although this time this looks more or less linear. So I'm going to choose linear and apply. Yeah, it's a 0.99 correlation. That's that R value. That's how closely the data fits the line. That's pretty good. So then again, make sure you get the axis labels in the screenshot. So then the last thing here is looking at the data tables. So I'm going to uncheck the graph so we can just look at the data table. Pay attention, there's time, but then there's X and Y position, X and Y velocity. So when you're recording your values, make sure you choose the corresponding ones that you need. So I would copy all the data for the time, the X position, and the Y position and the Y velocity. But if you're looking in the X direction, then you'd want the X position and X velocity. If I want to save this and come back later, I can do that over here on the left side. Save as. It's going to save it as a weird file, and it won't let you name it when you save it, which I think is odd. But you can find this weird file next time you open up the app. Let me know if you have questions.